How's it going, everyone? And welcome back to another edition of the Stupid Questions podcast. And in the pod, we're going to be talking with Harry Talbot. He is a professional photographer in the cycling world. So the Tour de France, the Vuelta, the Giro, any and all of those races on the World Tour, he's been there. He's done that. He takes amazing photos. He is a great conversationalist. Is a deep thinker. And it was a breath of fresh air getting to chat with him today on a number of different areas from obviously his profession, but outside of that, just who he is as an individual and what he likes, what he doesn't like, good career experiences, some bad ones, some cool stories, all the above. So thank you so much for being here. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Thanks for doing that. Really helps to grow the show. And without further ado, I want to introduce you to Harry Talbot.
I just got back from a bike ride. I ended up bumping into one of my friends, and then I was like 140, and I was like, "Oh shit, I'm cutting it fine," and had to boost back here.
Nice.
Um, but no, I'm all good. Yeah,
Good, man. Awesome. So you're back home in New Zealand, right?
yeah, yeah. Feels weird to call it home now, to be honest.
Because you travel so much.
Yeah, and because like now I have like an apartment in Girona, and
Mm-hmm.
I would say I live there. So yeah, it's kind of been weird coming back here, and I'm only here for like 4 weeks. Uh, but it's been really nice too. Like it's familiar, and to see friends and family again, and
Yeah.
I'm not working here, so I'm just relaxing. It's nice.
Yeah, and you're going to be there, I guess, till what? Maybe second week of February. Start heading out to your first big shoot.
Only no, I fly back next week on Wednesday, so
Oh
like the
wow.
28th.
Okay.
But yeah, then I have a bit of time in Europe. I have a couple shoots, and then end of February is like opening weekend, which is the first one.
Nice. Good deal.
Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, I got to go to New Zealand for the first time last December. Well, I guess December 2024 for the 70.3 World Championship there. And man, you got an amazing country, I have to say. The food quality, I still miss it. I wish that we had that here. But just, I have to say, I've been to quite a few different countries around Asia, Europe. New Zealand definitely takes the cake, bar none.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
And you think the food quality is good here?
I do, man. So we traveled a good bit. I was there for a month. And the reason I say
Yeah.
that is just because I've lived around the US and I guess it works better in New Zealand because you guys have a smaller ecosystem in terms of the farm to table. There's less people, obviously, in the country. There's less size. You have to rely probably on what more you have on land rather than like having to import it and whatnot. But big agriculture in the United States, man, the quality of food just from what you can grow on the plant side and the meat side, I just don't even think it's like night and day. Like even the fast food restaurants there, I feel
Whoa.
like had a higher quality food than like Taco Bell, for example. Taco Bell in the U.S.
Yeah.
trash. Taco Bell in New Zealand, because of your guys' rules and with how you do food and whatnot, it was like
Yeah.
so much better. It was unreal. I would love to do like a deep dive on the nutritional content because I think there's so much
Yeah,
more
you
macro
should.
in macros. Yeah.
Interesting. I've never I've never been to Taco Bell in New Zealand before. I probably
There's a lot
should.
of other good options. We tried it out once. I was just curious. That's mostly why we did
Yeah.
it.
I should go here, and then I've never been to the US, but then if I go to the US, I'll go to Taco Bell there, and I can do a comparison as well.
It's horrible. So don't even don't waste your time. I feel like Europe too, like the quality of standards in food are pretty high up there as well. I haven't been to a lot of Europe as I've been to New
Yeah.
Zealand or others, but yeah, it's interesting.
Man, we're just bagging on the US.
It's okay. I live here. I can do that. It is a great place. I will say that, but it's got when it comes to food, we're missing the mark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where do you live in the US?
So I live in Northern California right now. I've been here for a year and 4 months. I grew up on the East
Yeah.
Coast, in Tennessee, if you're familiar with that is.
Hmm.
Tennessee, North Carolina. Yeah. So, yeah, that's where I am. California now,
Cool.
paying the taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
California looks nice though.
It is pretty. So I wasn't, when we moved here, I wasn't expecting it to be quite so hot. But because we're kind of
Yeah.
nestled up, you've got, the eastern, western mountain ranges and the northern mountain ranges. We're like in the valley, pushed up. So all the air kind of gets pushed up here, and it can be hotter here sometimes, even that isn't like Southern California. It's kind of crazy. But I do like it. It's very beautiful. Access to the mountains real
Yeah,
quick. Yeah.
super
So,
nice.
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, Harry, officially, just want to say thank you so much for coming on. I know I've been after you for a while, and you made some time for me, and that means a lot to me. I really appreciate it. I know you're super busy, so thank you for coming on and giving me the opportunity to hopefully ask some good questions that you haven't heard before.
Yeah, of course, bro. No, thank you for having me. I hope there's stupid questions too. It's in the title.
I'll try to think of some good ones.
Perfect.
So, my first question for you is from your perspective, and it's a deep one, so take as much time as you'd like to, but who is Harry?
That is a hard hitting question to start. Oh wow. Okay, if I'm gonna sum myself up here for a podcast, I think to me the most important thing that I do is my work. It's a ton of my identity is linked to that, and I'm a photographer, and currently my work is in the cycling industry. I shoot most of the pro cycling calendar and the big races, and I shoot a lot commercially within the cycling industry, and it's really the thing that I care about the most. Uh, is doing the best work that I can. I want to take photos that people look at twice, photos that really just make me happy. And yeah, out of everything, that matters the most to me. I also ride a bike, and a lot of my identity is linked to that. I cycle lots, and I really love it. I love exploring a place on a bike. I love sort of challenging myself on a bike and seeing how far I can push things, and going on an adventure and things.
Mm.
I love exploring new places and traveling the world, and I'm super lucky that with my job, I have the opportunity to do that. So that's really nice. Uh, does that answer it? I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
There's no right or wrong answer. I think it's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't even have to sum it up. I love asking that question mostly because you can tell a lot about a person, I think, and where the stage they are in life by asking that question and seeing how they answer it. So, not to be too overly generalistic, but when I typically ask that question to more of like the younger guys and girls, it does come around to like, okay, where am I going? I'm a college student, I'm this, that, and the other. But like the older seasoned veterans, like I'm talking 50s, 60s, it ends up kind of circling back to them being a parent or more of like the character traits, I think, that kind of define who they are and defined what they've done. Because, for us younger people, how old are you?
I'm 26.
Yeah, so I'm 34. I'm getting older each day, which is crazy to hear myself say 34 almost. But as I've gotten older, I've done a number of different things, and I've started to realize like, oh yeah, like well, what I do isn't necessarily what defines me. It's more of the values that I carry into that thing, or the aspects of it. Which for a professional athlete standpoint, I like asking that question because oftentimes they'll kind of wrestle with this athletics can only last so long. So whenever Tadej Pogacar or whoever is done, like how will they define themselves? Who are they to themselves after that's done? So that's why I kind of like asking that question and just to see where they're at. So I think you did great.
Yeah, it's interesting. I did think like if I was older and I had kids, like I'm sure my answer would probably center around that because I think your family kind of becomes the most important thing in your life.
Hmm.
Uh, but I'm not there yet, and I'm yeah, I'm in no rush either.
Yeah, you seem to be a very deep thinker. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
I'll gladly have a cup of tea and sit outside at night watching the world go by,
Mm,
having a good think. Um, I don't know if it's always a good thing. I don't think it's a bad thing either. It's really I would think it's just who I am, and it's part
yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
Roll with it.
Do you get more of those traits you think from like a nature perspective? You were born with them, or is it more of a nurture? Are your parents similar in that way?
Huh. Man, you're really making me work here. This is lot of questions to think about that are hard. I think probably nature. I think my I think my dad would be much more of a deep thinker than my mum would be, or at least like from my perspective and what I've seen. Uh, I don't think it's something that they've encouraged me to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I like they haven't discouraged me from it either. They've kind of just let me be me, I think. So I think it's almost more nature, but I mean, I don't think people are either one or the other. I think you're a combination of both of those things. So
Mm.
yeah, it likely comes from the experiences I've had in my life and growing up, and yeah, the things I've done that would encourage that, I guess.
Yeah.
I definitely don't shy away from it. Um, I'm pretty happy in my own thoughts and thinking things through. Uh, it doesn't really scare me to be alone and to be with my mind for a while. So
Mm.
yeah,
Good answer. Well, so as you make your decisions in life, obviously some of the biggest ones I would assume at this point in your life has been have been career driven or career focused. But as you've made those decisions on kind of the path you'd like to take, do you think that you ultimately settle on more of making those decisions with your head or with your heart?
I think I make them with both. Like I think my heart sort of figures out what I want, and then my head finds like the way to do it
Mm.
and to make it uh, like physically and financially viable, and in a way that will work. But it's very much driven by what my heart wants.
What does your heart want?
At the moment, I'm obsessed with being the best photographer that I can be.
Mm.
Uh, it's everything to me right now, my work, and I just want it to be so good. Uh, that's what matters to me. Yeah, it's at the end of the day, like that's the overarching goal. Making money is like a byproduct of that, and
Mm.
sort of having the means to do other things in life. I want it to have balance, and I need to have balance to some regard. Otherwise, you're going to burn yourself out. And I think that applies to sort of most people. Probably, if you're all in on one thing, you still need rest from it. The same way, like a professional athlete has to take an off season. Yeah, so there's still other things that interest me and I enjoy, but at the end of the day, it comes back to that.
Mm. So you said a few minutes ago, like you want to take pictures that people look at twice, so like a one or
Yeah.
two. What is it that you do to evoke that type of a response in people? Like, because anybody can quote unquote take a photo, but to take one that people like truly do look at twice or ponder over, what does it
It's got to
take?
be different from what people see. Shooting it from like a different angle, a different perspective, the colors, the light, what's happening in the photo, who it is, what they're doing. It's kind of like all these different things coming together, and you have to create an image that's new and original, which is really hard to do because there's been a lot of great photographers and there are a lot of great photographers who do really good work. So creating something new and different is exceptionally hard. And I will have a lot of respect for anyone doing that or trying to do it. It's not an easy thing, and also, like I said, that will apply to a lot of different industries. But yeah, trying to create something new is difficult. But I think if you do it, uh, then people are going to look twice if it's something they haven't seen before. And applying that specifically to what I do, if it's like a photo of a race and it captures the way people feel about a bike race in a new perspective. They're going to look at it twice and it's just going to be a pleasant experience to look at. And I love cycling, like I'm obsessed with the sport. I'm a fan at the end of the day of it, and I want to create beautiful photos of the sport that I love, for me, you know.
Hmm.
Uh, it's super nice when other people appreciate the work I do, but at the end of the day, like the person I'm trying to make happiest is myself. I want to, yeah, create photos that I'm proud of as well, and that other people can enjoy as well.
Hmm. When you go to take photos, and I know you take a lot of them, and of different,
Yeah.
like you said, different perspectives, different people, obviously different events, cycling being the focus. Do you consider a photo after you've taken it, quote, I guess, and edited it? Do you consider it to be a great one based more on kind of the pre-thought, the premeditation of how I'm going to take this photo and how I want it to look, or can sometimes a great photo come out of just, I don't know, the play of having the camera out and being in the moment and catching something in a way you thought you wouldn't have before?
You can have both for sure. There's photos I really love that I've taken that were like, there was no thought that went into it. I just happened to be like in the right situation at the right time shooting the camera. And then, when I'm sat down editing, I crop something out of it and I'm like, this is super cool and I really like it. But they won't mean as much to me because there wasn't that like premeditated thought that went into it, like you say. Yeah, the ones I really love are the ones where, you saw the location, you scouted it, you thought maybe something could happen there. You really had to work to find the right angle, and you really had to create the photo, rather than it simply happening in front of you. Because you can have an incredible photo where it's right place, right time, but if you're the responsible for creating the right place and the right time, it means a lot more, I think, at least to me.
Yeah. Mm. Did you ever think that you would be where you are today, even 10 years ago, in terms of what you're doing and how you're
10
doing it?
years ago,
14?
10 years ago, I
Or
was
16, sorry.
16.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. That's funny. Everyone's doing the like 10-year challenge on Instagram right now, posting back to 2016 and what they were doing. I was I was at high school in 2016. I was really starting to think about what's next after high school. And I had a camera back then. I really liked the camera, but I wouldn't pick it up so much. It was, like maybe once, twice a month. But I really enjoyed it. And 2016 was kind of when Instagram was starting to uh, kick off, and there was this big niche at the time of travel photography, and I was really inspired by that. Part because it was beautiful photos of nature and landscapes and
Hmm.
different places around the world, and I really wanted to see the world, and I wanted to know what was outside of New Zealand and these different beautiful places. And so for me, that was really inspiring, and also because you could see these people creating a life for themselves where they could live like that and they could travel the world, and it was their job to take photos of nice things. And I was like, wow, that's crazy, that's a thing. And I didn't really see why a life like that couldn't be possible for me if I was good enough to do it. I think there was kind of probably the next 5 years after that, even longer, maybe even like still now, there was this naivety around thinking, yeah, like I can do that. I'm good enough to make that happen. It's like a tricky line, I think, between naivety and self-belief. But I think you also need a little bit of that. If you were maybe super realistic about it and were like, well, I'm not good enough to do it, you just would never try. So,
Mm.
I mean, for sure, I believed I could be here and doing it. Like, if I never believed, I wouldn't have done it. But that also doesn't mean there wasn't a ton of self-doubt as well along the way of, am I good enough to create a life for myself where I can be a photographer and
Mm.
travel around the world?
So, as your horizon and your understanding, your knowledge of everything that can encompass and circle around photography, cinematography has grown, do you still have any of that naivety and that belief that you can be the best in the world? Do you still believe that?
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't keep trying if I didn't believe that I could be. Uh, but at the same time, like there's incredible photographers, cinematographers around the world that I look to their work and I literally think like there's no way I would ever have the creativity or the vision to be able to create something like that. But then, yeah, I mean, I don't. I'm really worried I'm going to sound arrogant here when I say that I do believe in myself and that I can get there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also honest. Like I feel both things at the same time, and I think there's a lot of times in life you can feel separate ways about the same thing, and it doesn't really make sense in your head that you do that, but I do. I'm sure a lot of people do. So yeah, like I do believe that I can one day be like a really great photographer. I mean, when I look back at the work I did 2, 3 years ago, I think it sucks. And I look at what I do now and I'm super happy.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I want that feeling again in 2, 3 years. I want to look at the work I'm doing now and I want to hate it because I want what I do then to be even better. And I'm really scared of losing that drive to keep improving
You're afraid
because
you'll
I
lose
think
it.
yeah, I don't want to get complacent and sit there and be like, yeah, I'm a great photographer and just be happy with the work I do because then I'm not going to keep improving and I want to keep improving.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I, yeah, I keep saying I want to be the best that I can. And part of that, I think, is having that drive and desire to get better and better. But yeah, there's lots of people that have that and a lot of other great people out there.
Mm.
So, you know, I don't think it's necessarily like I want to be the best because it's subjective as well.
For sure.
You know, so I think I just want to be the best that I can be, and I want to keep having this drive to do better work. And I would say being regarded as one of the best photographers, out there is like a byproduct or a consequence of that.
Mm.
It would be like a blessing if I was one day ever considered that. But it's very much a pipe dream at this stage, I think.
So, aside from like the collective whole of, I guess, the cycling community or whoever appreciates the art form that you're in, what one person do you think could come up to you and essentially give you affirmation of the work that you're doing in such a way that would make you believe right now, like, oh, this is it? That's what I was looking for. Is there one of those guys or girls?
outside of the cycling community.
Yeah, it could be.
I don't think so. Like there's definitely a lot of people will, comment whether it's online or in person or an email or whatever on my work, and it will mean varying amounts to me depending who it is, right? Like if it's a photographer or a colleague or someone whose work you really admire and respect, it means more than if it's, like Pam, my mum's neighbor, you know? And yeah, that's normal. I think like I said earlier, like I shoot for myself and I really try to create work that I'm happy with. And there's no like definitive measure of when you're there, when you're like
Mm.
doing the best work that you ever have. So I guess so long as I feel like right now at the time I'm doing the best work I have to date, then I'm happy. And that's how I've felt sort of the last couple months with the work that I did last year. I was like, you know what? It was better than the years before, and it was like I was happy with it. And that's a really nice feeling to have. But then this year I want to do better.
Hmm.
So I think it's very much my own, I don't know what the word is, like happiness for my work, I guess.
Hmm. Yeah, fulfillment. Yeah, I
Yeah,
feel like
that's it.
yeah, I feel like what you're describing, just as you're saying it, kind of reminds me of when I've asked people, "Oh, well, what does success mean to you?" Everyone has a different idea of what it means, but if you were to summarize it, I would say it's kind of along the lines of what you're saying as well. Success to me, or being the best, is the belief and the contentment that in the moment here, right now, I am where I want to be professionally with what you're shooting, with what you're observing from your work that you've put out. Um, and you mentioned that your fear is that that drive might be quelled or somehow disappear. So my question is, what threatens that drive? What could happen that would, you think, take away that desire to continue to want to chase that mountaintop or reinvent yourself year over year to get better at your craft?
Two things come to mind. One is being financially secure and stable.
Mm.
I think if I get to a position where you're really comfy financially and you have all the things you want, like you have the house, the car, the boat, the holiday every year, I'm worried then that you might lose the drive for it. Uh, the other thing, which I think is probably normal, is having kids in a family. I think because your priorities change, and I think they probably should. If you're going to be, in my case, a dad, I think that should be the most important thing in your life. It's my opinion, and so if I was to have kids one day, then that changes my priorities. Yeah, I think those two things.
Yeah. I'm just curious, off the cuff question. Why is that your opinion? Why is family most important? Or when, especially in that season of life?
I think having kids is like a huge decision and a huge commitment, and you owe it to them to be like the best parent that you can be. Yeah, I hope that, I'll really love my kids, and when if I decide to have them and be a parent, then like I don't want it to be a hard decision to do that either.
Mm.
Like I want to put them first, and I want to be the best parent that I can to those kids. So I think, whether I do or don't have them, I think that's something that would change it.
Yeah. Hmm. Good answer. Have you ever
Yeah.
looked at a photo that isn't just like in and of itself like a sad photo that has made you cry in the same way that maybe you've listened to a particular song or been out in nature or seen something just so beautiful in its own right that it brought like an overwhelming sense of emotion? Have you ever had that in a photo?
Uh, Not of mine. Nothing I've shot. Uh, a lot of There's a photographer. He's passed away a few years ago, Sebastian Salgado. I think I'm pronouncing his name slightly wrong. He was Brazilian, I think, and he documented basically big world events and crises and genocides
Mm.
and things like that across the world. And he would shoot in black and white film, and those photos are incredibly emotive. And I remember the first time I learned about him, and I was looking at his work, and he's shot those iconic photos of like a starving girl
Mm.
standing there in Africa with two vultures just next to her, waiting for her to die.
Sheesh. Yeah.
I don't know if I cried as such, but it's definitely super emotive. And those are photos that really hit hard and show you the reality of what's happening in the world. And I think you can look at photographers today who shoot, in Gaza or in Ukraine.
Mm.
And a lot of that work is super graphic because it's showing the reality of it and what is happening. And I think those evoke, super strong, similar emotions. I mean, I love cycling, but I don't look at a bike race photo and
Just burst into
cry.
tears. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe some people do, but I think you would have to be a really crazy fan for that one.
Fan or one of the guys or girls' moms or dad.
Yeah, that will do it.
Yeah, nostalgic photos too. After time, maybe after someone's passed or whatever. I'm sure those could evoke that emotion. Hmm.
Yeah. There's definitely photos that I've taken that mean a lot more to me, for nostalgic reasons and for, I guess, what they represented at the time when I shot them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't think they compare to sort of real world
Yeah,
life events
that's
that
going
sort
on.
of alter society.
Yeah. Do you have a set or maybe a particular photo that's like your favorite of what you've captured?
Yeah, there's a few that come to mind. I shot this photo last year now in spring at Flesh Wallon, which uh, I really like that, and it's like this old window with a tiny little crack in the bottom right, and you just have Tade riding in that crack. You can see him in the world champ stripes.
Yeah.
That photo's I really like that one because, sorry, like I said before, it's a lot of premeditation in that. Like I knew that old building was there already. It was super hard to get back in front of the peloton on the motorbike before that. And I just did in time. And then I had maybe 30 seconds at that building before the race came. And, thankfully it was open. I could get inside. And then when I saw the crack in the window, it was like amazing. I can do a photo here. And there's actually quite a few parked cars between that building and the road, and I really had to work to make the angle right so the shot wasn't blocked by those cars.
Mm.
And I ended up like dragging this old crate across and standing on that and holding the camera above my head and shooting it. And all of this happened in, 30 seconds, and you're really hustling and your brain is going like 100 miles an hour. How can I make this work?
Uh,
And then I ended up with a photo like that, and I really like it. Yeah, and it's for me knowing what went into it
yeah.
makes it mean a lot more.
Yeah. That's cool. I was just looking through some of the different ones. I particularly like the ones where you have like you're kind of reseated in a building looking out a window or looking out a doorway or an archway, and then something's kind of happening in the background, but you get all that interesting stuff in the foreground. It's really interesting. Is that something you kind of have, I don't know if invented is the word to use, but coined of one of your own techniques, that something that kind of trademarks as yours?
There's definitely a few photographers that sort of look for that. Um, it's very much invented, I would say, by a couple, Jared and Ashley. They started maybe, 10, 15 years ago, really shooting bike races, and they used to look for stuff like that, which was really cool. And I remember being, 15, 16, 17 at school every day in New Zealand, and with the time zone, their photos would come out in the morning, and I would always look through them, and it was super inspirational for me. Uh, and I would say now there's, you know, five, six of us that are really always looking for these little doors and windows and different things we can shoot through. It's just like a more interesting perspective. If you stood roadside and took that photo, it wouldn't look half as good.
Yeah.
It's kind of this fun way to see the bike race that you wouldn't see from TV.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
Couple more questions around the photo video stuff, and then I want to ask some more like personal questions. But with the work that you do, so photography, even some cinematography work, you do some video, correct?
I
Or is it
used to do a
not as
bit.
much?
I did it. Yeah, I would do a fair bit, maybe like 3, 4, 5 years ago. Now it's 99%
Okay.
photos.
Okay.
I am super interested in it though, and I would like to get back into it, but it's the editing process that really kills me for video.
A lot of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with that, with both of those, especially photography and the Instagram world that we live in, it can often be glamorized as like, oh, this is like an influencer type of thing. So with that in mind, what are pieces about your work that people don't often think about or see that are challenging?
The logistics of a bike race. It's a nightmare because you have this start town and then 200 kilometers away a finish town every day. And then often like a 100, 200, 300 kilometer distance between the finish and the start of the next day. So you're forever moving, and the average day at a bike race, I'll spend like 6, 7, 8 hours in a car just driving. And
Gross.
then you have to, yeah, definitely. So you're having to organize accommodation for this, which is difficult because a big race books up so much accommodation already. You're having to figure out where and what to eat. Well, you're editing photos till midnight at the same time, and of course figuring out where you're going to shoot during the stage. If you're covering a grand tour in a car, you get anywhere from 1 to 3 or 4 spots, depending on the route and how many roads are around the route, because we can't drive through the peloton. The
Hmm.
roads are closed, so we have to figure out what roads we can take and if the time frame's going to work. And often we have to drive, really fast to make it.
Mm.
So there's, so much that goes into planning the logistics of how to take the photo. It's almost taking the photo is the easy part. Like that's the part I'm good at. Uh, it's really figuring out just how to get there to take the photo. That's the part that's not glamorous or sexy and takes the most work.
Yeah. You ever gotten into
Yeah.
any crazy, I don't know, like as I'm picturing, especially like the bigger European races, like through, like you said, 200 kilometers of country, you're running into, oh, there's a herd of sheep in the road, or there's a wreck on this back road, and now we're not going to make it to our next spot, and we're having to improvise. You got any crazy stories from those days?
Uh, it happens all the time. You turn down a road and on the map it's like the small single lane road, and then it turns out it's like a gravel farm track, and you're like, well, we'll just try it. You're going down, and then there's the farmer's truck parked across it, and he's like 2 kilometers away. He's walked to the race and watching it, so he can't move it. And
Oh no.
you're looking at that going, can we drive around it? Can we get through? Do we try another road? What are the other options? You're constantly figuring
Yeah.
that out in your head. There was a case very much like that at the tour this year, but we were leaving the course, and they had all fans parked their cars all on the side of the single road, and we could just fit by, but then there was one that had parked like too wide.
Oh no.
And my friend Zach, who was driving at the time, he gets we just don't really say anything. We kind of just like, I'm like, well, if he backs himself to do it, great. And he's kind of like, well, if Harry doesn't say no, we'll do it. And he sort of gets the wheels up on the side. And so we've got two wheels on the road and two up on the side of this big stock bank. The car's on like a 45-degree angle.
Oh
We're
my.
just going along, and then the wing mirrors clip each other, and they both just fold back, and we're like, "Oh my goodness!" then we make it out, and we just look at each other and we start laughing. And it
That's
was
awesome.
kind of one of these surreal moments where we were both so happy that the other person was there for it, because we can like verify how crazy it was.
Mm.
And then we laugh, and then we carry on, and we just start driving to the next
Yeah.
spot, and we're kind of like, well, that was really touch and go to like not making it or getting the car stuck. Yeah, so there's definitely things like that. We've had the car stuck in mud before and had to get towed out. Yeah, it's tricky for sure.
Yeah. That's crazy. That'll be a fun clip to make. Um, so with we talked a little bit about like the financial side of this, and you have to make money, and I know you do some commercial work on top of following the tour around, or about a lot of the big Grand Tour races or World Tour races. When you're doing that, are you, especially during the World Tour season, are you doing that more of your own volition to then sell like your book that is going to help promote and build you up for the next year, or like you making more of your money just from the commercial aspect of what your job is?
Um, it's probably a pretty 50-50 split of commercial and racing. So I have a few contracts for the race season. Some of them might be more specific to certain races, and some are sort of a whole season retainer, where I sort of will send them a calendar and be like, this is what I'm going to do. And then they'll pay like a set amount over the whole year for that. And then a lot of it sort of comes in like the week before a race. A brand or a team or a newspaper or something will hire you to cover that race. And then a lot of it also comes after you've shot it. So you'll take a specific photo. And then, yeah, a brand or a newspaper or outlet or something will want to buy that or license it. Yeah, so that's kind of how the money comes in.
Are you allowed to say the most you've ever sold a photo for?
Uh, for me, I think I would have licensed a photo for around 3 or 4 grand before.
Nice.
So that will be used. That was put on a billboard.
That's cool. Did
Yeah.
you go take a picture of the billboard after?
No, I didn't see it.
Oh,
They
bummer.
did send me a photo of it though, so
Oh, cool.
I did get to see it. Well, a
Yeah.
photo of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's neat. Have
Yeah.
you ever had a client get mad at you? Like, have you ever had that kind of a situation happen? Or have you ever
Touch
gotten
wood.
mad? Yeah.
N- no, I think I've had a client like feel like I didn't hit the mark.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think they've been mad. I don't think there's been a situation where it was because of something I did either. I think it's been more the circumstances of what has happened on a shoot or in a race as to why it hasn't worked out. Sometimes it's the weather, sometimes it's what happens in a race and the riders have crashed out and so you didn't get to shoot them.
Mm.
They want big hero shots of this rider in a race and then that rider has a really bad race and they come through in the like fourth group and you weren't even there to shoot it because you have to move on to the front of the race. Yeah, so I think with, as most problems in life, you have good communication, you can kind of handle a lot of it. I think I've definitely been, for sure, I've been annoyed on shoots or grumpy with how things are working, but not to the point where it sort of impacted the work we did.
Yeah.
I think part of your job as a photographer is kind of rolling with the punches. It's pretty rare you have a shoot where everyone rolls out the red carpet for you to have all the best conditions in the world to make the best photos you can. I mean, maybe on those bigger budget shoots that happens a bit more. I like to think if you were shooting a commercial for Nike, that's how it works. But I'm sure the reality might be different.
Mm.
Yeah, so you kind of learn to make good photos around the circumstances you're dealt with, and I think the bike racing really teaches you how to do that as well, because so much is out of your control for that.
Mm. Do you want to always focus on cycling?
No,
No. If you
definitely not.
if you could like right now take a pause or from cycling, move to any category, any sport, any literally anything in the world of photography and videography, um, what do you think you would transport to?
It would either be fashion, both in a studio and lifestyle, or it would be covering conflicts.
Mm. Like
Yeah,
kinetic war conflicts.
yeah.
Wow, those
One of
are
those two things.
those are both very interesting and vastly different. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, which one do you think would be more difficult though?
Wow. There's a lot of this chance of being shot at if you're in a studio shooting fashion, I would hope.
Yeah, you're the one doing shooting at that point.
Yeah. From a point of doing good work, I think, like purely from the photography side of it, I think fashion would be more difficult to create original and new work. I think if you're
Mm-hmm.
shooting conflicts in real world stuff like that, it's almost more just like what happens in front of you and you document it.
Yeah.
But I think physically that is a lot more difficult, obviously.
Mm.
Being in those locations.
On the topic of like conflict, Do you believe that humanity is more bad or more good as a whole?
Huh. Um, I don't know. I mean, there's good people and there's bad people, and it's a spectrum, and everyone's somewhere along there. I think the large majority of people are pretty in the middle, like slightly on the good side, I think. I think if you used like if I dropped my wallet in the street, I think 6 to 7 out of 10 people would pick it up and give it back to me, and I think 3 or 4 would out of 10 would keep it. Maybe even lower.
Hmm.
But that's a situation where it's very easy for you to do the right or the wrong thing, right? Whereas uh like right now in the world, Trump is talking about invading Greenland, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sit wherever you want for right or wrong, but I don't think it's right if Trump invades Greenland. But it's a lot harder for me to do anything about it. Like I
Mm.
feel pretty powerless.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't think I have any influence or power or and maybe if everyone feels like that is bad, maybe when we all come together we do have power. But like sat here in New Zealand, far away from it, it's really hard to see what you can do,
Mm.
you know, to help. You make an Instagram story, it's not moving the needle. Yeah. Does that answer the question?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it
It's a,
does.
I mean, it's a good question. I feel like you could sit around and debate that for, 3 hours.
Yeah, it's interesting with how I view things. I'm trying to think of how to put my words together to where it makes sense, but you know, for bad things, it's very easy for that to be disseminated and be seen and heard from far around because it like grabs your attention. It's bad. It's bad. Like it's just it's easier to kind of put your focal point on like, oh, like that's clearly bad. But where acts of kindness and goodness, it's oftentimes they're done in the quiet or they're a lot more silent, but their effects are felt, I think, more longer term. Um, or have the power to affect longer term change. Because I'm thinking of like if you drop a bomb, let's just say Hiroshima, a lot of bad happens right there. Lots of lives
Yeah.
are dead, and then you have the long term tail effects of that, of people getting cancers and whatever else. But the goodness of someone going out and working in a community and I don't know, passing out food to the homeless or working with special needs children or working in an orphanage, let's just say you work in an orphanage, one person for a number of years, you can't, it's hard to measure in that moment what that impact could make. Because for me in my life, the most impactful moments that have ever happened have been kind of these small little acts or words that people have said to me that have made the biggest impact, which could then affect me to go on and I don't know, whatever, to start some charity organization or whatever that impacts millions of people or whatever it is. So it's like, it's so much harder to kind of follow that through line as it is a lot easier to follow the through line for something bad. So, with all that in mind, it's like I think it's very hard to measure to get an accurate measurement off of like where is there more good or more bad. I would say left to our own devices with no checks and balances that it's all gonna turn into chaos and like evil, because it's like if I have unlimited amount money, I can have anything I ever wanted. Just similarly, if I started to take drugs, if I had nothing stopping me from trying the next drug, you're always going to reach for that next high. Similarly, how do we do with our business and professional lives? We're always trying to go for more. It's like if I have nothing holding me back, then like I will descend into chaos because there's nothing holding me back. Unless I think if you're kind of more of a religious, or you have some kind of like all powerful thing that you're kind of anchoring a little bit of morality on. Anyway, that's a lot of words. Um, you have any thought on that before I ask a question?
I think what you said super interesting. I mean, for sure, like you're right. The bad news gets a lot more press and eyeballs and spreads around the world a lot more. I think it's because it's more shocking. Like if
Mm-hmm.
a hospital gets bombed versus if they build a new hospital, you know, maybe they're pretty comparable in impact, but or like scale, for example, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But one's going to get a lot more news. Is it more shocking because it's more rare, and then therefore there's less bad in the world? I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of good happens all the time. We just got to get used to it.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think that's probably part of what
But
it's.
then a lot of bad happens too, and you know, like
And you do get numb to that as well.
Ukraine was in the news
Mm-hmm.
every day for you know a year, and then it's kind of second tier now,
I feel like
because
that's
you
by
get used to it.
design. I really think that's by design. Maybe not everyone, but
Yeah,
if you want to desensitize people to something, like just hit them with it day after day after day, and then hit them with something else, and then eventually, it's like I feel like it's because I'm about to have a child, like I'm about to have a little girl. I'm sure in the first few weeks of life, if she's screaming, like it's gonna be hard for me because when I hang out with my sister and her younger children, it's like, wow, these kids are really loud. But my sister's like, oh, this is everyday life. I'm used to this. What are you talking about? Nothing's new here. So I feel like it's the same thing. If you can overstimulate someone, they gain a new level of tolerance. Then you can just do whatever you want. You can tell the news. It's like people won't even care.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. This is true.
yeah.
Interesting thoughts.
Hmm. Are you religious, spiritual? However you might define that.
Uh, I don't practice any religion currently. I would say I'm not entirely clear where I sit on it at all, really.
Yeah.
I think it's more of just like there's a lot of for me there's a lot of uh, uncertainties and unknowns. I've always said I think you would be a bit. I don't know. I've always felt like I would be foolish almost to just assume that I knew definitively a yes or a no as to whether there is more out there than just us.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I'd like no in the sense that I don't practice any right now. But yeah, if it works for people and it's what people believe in, you know, all power to you.
Hmm.
If it's not your thing, you know, it's not your thing. But yeah, for me, it's not something that really influences my life right now.
Yeah. You say right now, did it used to?
Um, no, not really. I'm just, you know, maybe I get to 50 and I change.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
What do you think would have to happen for you to change? Like, do you, well, I guess you kind of said this, but do you believe in a like a higher power of some sort? Like, we are
I'm
not
not
just a
sure.
mistake. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing as I said.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know,
Yeah.
you know? you know, I'm just the same as every other human, really. I don't have any insight on that.
Mm. So one of your thing, I was reading through your website just to try to get to know a little bit about you, and you had this portion of your website where it says Harry loves being outdoors and constantly finds himself choosing adventure and nature. So
That's quite nice.
talk to me a little bit about the nature aspect. Like, what does it do for you that you find worth chasing?
It's quiet, you know? It's untouched and it's quiet. And that's beautiful. I could sit on a mountain and not see another person for a long time and be very content.
Hmm.
Yeah, I like getting outside and yeah, really going remote. And you're super lucky in New Zealand. It's not hard to do. You can sort of be alone in nature pretty easily here. And so, I've grown up sort of having that access. And, that's probably why I love it. Yeah, it's away from all the chaos that people create.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's quiet, it's calm.
To be able to be by yourself and be like still in the quietness, like as you were saying, just watching the world go by. Um, I don't know if it's fair to say that that's kind of a lost art form or a lost a lost form of existence, or it's harder becoming harder for people to find that. For somebody who does want to figure out how to just sit with themselves in the quiet and be disconnected from, all the stuff we're always connected to, what advice would you give them?
I think you have to be comfortable with really your own mind and your own thoughts. When you're not surrounded by distractions, you really have nothing to do but think. And I think for a lot of people, maybe that's scary. Yeah, and I think you have to be okay with not having a lot of answers about a lot of questions that you might have about yourself, maybe.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's always come pretty naturally. Uh, but yeah, I mean, just try it, hey?
Yeah.
Give it a go. It's I don't know if it's a bad thing if you can't do that. I mean, it's not really wrong to want to be surrounded by people all the time.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last couple of questions. What is something difficult that you're going through that people don't often see?
Uh, I am never really content with where I am. Maybe that's it. Maybe people see that. I'm not sure. I think it comes with that desire to keep being better,
Hmm.
and keep wanting to do good work. Like I just spend a lot of time really like unhappy with where I am because I want more, and then I'm really pushing myself a lot to do more, and then when I'm not actively working in the direction of where I want to be going, I feel a lot of guilt all the time. Um, like if I spend a few days not working and just riding my bike, like I love it, but I'm also like, I could have been working more to, be a better photographer or to, you know, just be doing work that's gonna be in the direction I want to go. So, yeah, I spend a lot of time like that.
Mm,
Which means I'm like, yeah, quite unsatisfied a lot of the time. Yeah, I also become disillusioned sometimes with like where I'm going and if it's really worth it. And
mm,
yeah, you know, a lot there's this large part of me. I have this like pipe dream in my head of just retiring and like opening a little lawn mowing business and like mowing lawns and earning enough money to pay my rent and go to the pub every night. And I'm like, I wish so much that I could be happy doing that, but I know I would be super unsatisfied.
mm.
But like, I wish that was enough for me. Um, it's just not want anymore. That would be nice sometimes, I think.
Yeah.
Uh,
But that would be the death of that drive that you talked about earlier.
yeah, yeah. So it's like both the thing I do and don't want. I don't know.
Yeah. I think it's a season, man. I really do. It's so interesting. 5 years ago, when I first started doing like this triathlon thing, I thought that I wanted to like be a professional athlete, and I like set my sights on that for a number of years and told myself that it was
Mm,
beyond possible. And I got close, and then priorities started to shift, kind of in my own internal compass. But it took a while to like look myself in the mirror and say it out loud, even like, okay, I'm not going to do that, and I actually want to do these other things. And it's hard to do because it's like a death, like you're burying a piece of yourself. Obviously, not burying like the core characteristic values of what it is you want to be and how you want to live, and those things. But it takes years, I think, to figure out how to bury those past pieces of ourself in a way that we can have closure and kind of take the parts we want and move on to the next thing. Like it's, yeah, I don't know, circle of life, whatever you want to call it. Like everyone has to go through it. I think we do it multiple times in our life. Um, Maybe not everyone. I guess some people do go, like you say, go to high school, grow up, get that job, work forever at that one place, retire there, die there, buried under the tree in the front lawn. Like, so some people do it, but I think for those that are driven, it's a lot harder uh, for those types, the type A, the
yeah,
creatives, people like you.
yeah, and I think I don't know. Is it like your priorities changing, but then are you giving up and quitting on like the dream? I don't know. Like I don't know how I would feel when or if I get there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's different for everyone. Like whether you're saying, is it you're giving up? I used to wonder that same thing, just
Yeah.
particularly about this one thing. It was like, am I giving up? But I
Hmm.
realized that what was going on deeper down was, I mean, yeah, I wanted to be a pro triathlete for a second, so I could say I did it, whatever. But underneath that was like this desire to prove to myself that I can do something, because I came, just full disclosure, dad passed away when I was 16, had a real absence of like male figureheads in my life, was looking around at all these other older guys and like trying to consciously, subconsciously for a while, but then consciously like trying to prove myself to them and inadvertently prove something to myself that like, well, I can do this thing. And that's not to say that I shouldn't have goals, or no one should have a goal. That's kind of beside the point. It's just being able to kind of look to the meat and potatoes and the bones of who we are as an individual and how we were brought up, and like, well, what is it about what I'm looking for that is fed by that inner sense of drive? Like, oh, I want this, I want that. I don't know. That's how I think about it, at least. That's how I'm sleeping at night. I don't know if it's right or wrong, but I sleep pretty good nowadays. So at least at this moment.
Well, at the end of the day, that's how we spend a third of our life.
Yeah,
It's good to sleep well.
it is. Truthfully, yeah, yeah. Is there any question that I didn't ask that you wish I would ask or would like me to ask?
No, but your question surprised me. No, it was good.
That's good.
Yeah,
That makes me feel genuinely good. Yeah.
yeah. No, it was nice. It was super different.
No.
They made me think. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was hard.
Yeah. Thanks for bearing with me. I know the who is question is a pretty hard hitting one. But yeah, no, it's really fun. It's an honor, man. Thank you so much for taking the time to let me ask these questions. I do wish you all the best as you go forward into 2026. And for anybody who is interested in following you, we'll link your stuff in the show notes. But I know that you sell your book and it sold out last year. You do a book every year of all your stuff. If somebody wants to follow along to potentially jump on that, what's the best way?
Yeah, last year was the first year of my book,
Okay.
and it was basically a photo book from the whole season, with yeah my photos and words, and then yeah, again this year there will be a second edition from this season. It's really something I want to do every year, and create not just a book but a whole collection. And if people want to, yeah, find out about that, probably my Instagram, which is at Visuals of Harry, is the best way. That will be, yeah, announced again in July during the Tour de France.
Cool.
But yeah,
Cool. Awesome, man. Well, Harry, thank you so much. It was an honor. I love your work. It's been an honor, I guess, to follow you now for about 8 months or so. Wish you all the best, and love to have you on again in the future to just hear how you're doing. But thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
no, of course, yeah, thank you too.
Thank you so much to Harry for coming on the podcast. Great conversationalist. Yeah, he just got a piece about him, a calm that really translated throughout the entire episode. So I really appreciated that. And I appreciate you for listening and being here for another episode of the Stupid Questions podcast. Yeah, just a few more days, really, I guess, until I'm going to be having my little girl. And so a lot of these questions that I'm starting to ask, I don't know why or how exactly, but I feel like they hold a little bit more weight. And maybe that's just the world I'm living in right now. But I hope that comes through this season. Really appreciate the opportunity to be doing what I'm doing. Appreciate Harry. Appreciate all these episodes and appreciate you guys for being here. So I think that's it for now. Thank you so much. And we will catch you in the next one. Peace.